Hey guys, how you doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Today is a beautiful Saturday morning. I just finished reading this book actually last night. I have not updated for a while. I have been swamped with work, which can be a good thing, I suppose, to keep busy. But not be able to do the things that I love. It also at the same time says that maybe I'm doing a little too much. But that's besides the point. I just definitely wanted to, confirm that this channel is still alive. Definitely have not forgotten the 24 subscribers that I have. But I did want to talk about this book. I actually did use it recently. In fact, to help me kind of build confidence and a basis for a negotiation that came out to be, I guess, better off than what I had expected. And I can get into the details later on. But this book is actually a pretty good book. It is written by a former FBI, I think hostage negotiator. One thing about this book that I did want to mention is that I wasn't able to use everything in the negotiation process that I was in. But it did give me the confidence to move forward, as well as verify, I suppose, the things that I used to do as effective negotiation techniques. Just a few kind of things I felt were very important that I learned from this book. Is that number one, silence is very important in a negotiation. Once a party stops speaking, or maybe even before the negotiation even starts, after brief introductions, it's good to have a moment of silence. I learned recently that in the very beginning, a moment of silence shows respect for the other party. And also, a moment of silence can also be almost a dramatic, climatic type of pause to help, the negotiation process possibly even go in your favor, where the other person has time to process their thoughts and feelings, and maybe things that they've said, that they may want to take back or even become more accommodating to you. So that moment of silence that you have, even if you know what to say, just pause and count to 4 in your head, and then tell them what you want. And that typically, from what I've learned, it actually is quite a powerful tool, especially when I was using it because I was actually negotiating against a group of 4 as a party of 1. So it was 1 against, I think, 4 or 5 people. So I definitely felt intimidated, and that silence really helped. The second thing also is to be data focused. Make sure that even though you want to be accommodating and fair and empathetic, that you know the data. For example, for real estate, what the comps are for the area. The local attractions, what makes that property valuable or not valuable. You want to have all of that before you enter into negotiations. You don't want to negotiate and then find out later on, that you had a piece of data that you could have used. So always be very heavily prepared, but not only prepared, but also research. Maybe your opponent, the company, the laws, and any data that you can collect about your property. So don't get lazy, prior to negotiations, walking in thinking that you are, this confident, smooth talker. You need the data to fight as well. I think the third thing, which is even more important, is to not be scared and embrace the conflict that is going to occur. You can't expect people to agree and listen and not raise their voice or be just straight up unreasonable with you. You have to be able to embrace the fact that may happen, stay calm, and be prepared. This book is an excellent book. I probably didn't list everything, but those were the things that I felt were the most important that I actually used in the negotiation process that I was in. So just to kind of talk about that moment, I was in very long dispute with my HOA. It turned out that the HOA just didn't like me, based on the fact that I wasn't scared of them in the very beginning. When they had a very, I would say, corrupt leadership at the time, and there's just something we just couldn't agree on, something that was legally rightful for me to request, and so we went into a very deep dispute, and it ended up involving lawyers. And it was upsetting because I found out really from what I thought that a lot of the facts, I cannot verify, but I would like to say just to kind of think, and I wanted to assume that a lot of these facts actually were fabricated, so they weren't in facts at all, based on kind of the circumstantial evidence that I was able to gain during the time that I was up until today actually. Something that it really hurt to know that this could happen, but I was very thorough with my preparation. I read through all the bylaws. I prepared my lawyers with their demand letters with very concrete, enforceable, legal language that was very powerful. I myself was very familiar with the legal language of the HOA as well as Texas law. So I was very well informed with everything, and that really helped me build confidence knowing that I could go up against what I felt was very arrogant individuals whom thought they were above everything, including the law, which is not the case, of course. It was a very long battle. It required me to change lawyers twice. The second lawyer finally got through with the threat of taking the case to court. And in the end, it came down to a very problematic position. It was very problematic. I foresaw something that kind of signaled a red flag, which was high lawyer fees. I saw that the lawyers were taking it to a level where they were just going to rack up expenses. And I find out later on, that possibly the expenses were actually very heavily racked up by the HOA because they were relying completely on their lawyer to help them. In the end, I went to the HOA meeting. I requested a hearing. I was very well prepared. I used a tactic of silence. Also, another thing, I dressed as best similar as I could to them. I think that was actually a very good pointer too on the in the book, to kind of dress similar. Don't dress completely different. Don't wear a suit to a car dealership. And don't wear gym clothes to a courtroom. Kind of thing. But in the end, I embraced the fear as well. I gave them a presentation under 5 minutes. I completely just tore apart their argument, and in the end, they agreed with me. It turns out there were other factors as well. I think I had possibly, silenced my critics, who were actually who ended up leaving the organization quietly. But I believe that the persistence held through, and the fear, embracing the fear and having courage, was a huge thing. I'm rambling on. I'm sorry, guys. So really, what in the end it was preparation, dressing comfortably and similar to your the other negotiating party, using silence, and being very prepared. And even also empathetic. I think people understand that, understanding the other party's views is just as important. I mean, it's a really great book. I really highly suggest reading it, especially if you don't negotiate at all. You're always negotiating, whether you like it or not, and sometimes maybe you don't realize that there is a opportunity to negotiate that you didn't take advantage of. This book helps you with that. But man, please give me your comments. I would love to hear kind of the results of some negotiations that you guys have had. Love to hear it below. I want to definitely tell the HOA though in the end that I was very thankful for the new leadership that is there. They were very accommodating, and I could tell that they were understanding of the situation. They were apologetic. They actually apologized, and I greatly appreciate that. That meant a lot, and I know it takes a lot of courage to say something like that. And they were very trusting of me as I was trusting of them. We all ended up everything with goodwill, but in the end, it took the negotiation table Even though I may not have remembered everything from this book, just reading it before going in, it calmed my nerves down and took away the fear. And I just want to thank you guys for watching the video. I definitely want to thank the HOA for being accommodating and thank them for making the right moves to move things in the right direction. So thank you so much to the HOA. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.